In an event that was uncharacteristically like Donald Trump, we saw a tremendous meltdown on social media, specifically Truth Social, by Donald Trump last night about all sorts of things, and I wanted to talk to you about it because it's kind of crazy. Just a lot of the stuff that he's been saying, a lot of the stuff that he's been implicated in, some of the stuff that he retweeted. I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to show you a video that he uploaded about whoever knows what he's talking about. I mean, he just kind of he's waffling back and forth. And I just wanted to talk about it, so let's get right into it. How about that? For the first one I want to look at, we're going to look at this one where he's talking about John Phelan, who's the leader of the Navy. There were some questions recently surrounding if he's going to stay hired by the Navy during this war, which would have already been a really weird thing for him to just fire him. It seemed like he was genuinely considering just firing this guy, which would have been a little bit strange. But we're going to read this tweet about how much he likes him, because we really have to ham it up. So Trump says, John Phelan is a longtime friend, very successful businessman who did an outstanding job serving as my Secretary of the Navy for the last year. John helped my administration rebuild after sleepy Joe Biden's rapidly depleted and almost abandoned Navy. Now, because of John, all the great men and women lovingly and tirelessly involved, we have the strongest Navy in the world. By far! Because it's in all caps. John Phelan is smart, tough, and respected by all. And although he has decided to move on from his great position as Secretary of the Navy, I very much appreciate the job that he has done and would certainly like to have him back within the Trump administration sometime in the future. Sorry about that. A very special thank you to John for his service in the United States of America. President Donald J. Trump. So, basically, that's just kind of him just glazing this guy for no reason. I mean, it did seem like he was going to be fired, and with how unpredictable Trump is, I guess it does make sense that one day it would look like he's being fired, and then the next, he's getting complete and total admiration from the commander-in-chief. Now, the reason for this message is because Trump fired him on Wednesday, which is a strange decision, in my opinion, to fire the head of the Navy while we're actively trying to control the Strait of Hormuz, which is a body of water. And for those of you who don't know, the Navy operates on water. So it's kind of strange to me that he would just fire him seemingly out of the blue. There seems to be no major reason for him being fired, but it does say that Donald Trump wanted a change, citing slow shipbuilding times in the midst of the Iran war and a blockaded maritime shipping channel. But, I mean, they seem to have parted on good terms. I don't think there was any ill will between them. He didn't do a great job, and I'm sure he's being replaced by, something of a Pete Hegseth kind of character. And I'm not looking forward to seeing how Pete Hegseth talks about that. Now, I want to look at these two tweets. They kind of go against each other, but I want to look at this one first. I've ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats though they may be. Their naval ships are all 159 of them, at the bottom of the sea, which is already a contradiction mid-sentence because clearly they're not all at the bottom of the sea if he's still shooting them. So that's a cool little contradiction there. And then he says that are putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. There will be no hesitation. That's not a sentence, but, grammar shark. Additionally, our mine sweepers, I'm not sure why that's in parentheses, but it is, are clearing the strait right now. I'm hereby ordering this activity to continue, but at a tripled up level. So I guess shooting with no hesitation at any ship that's doing anything, we're going to be doing that at a tripled level. I mean, why don't you let me know in the comments what that means, helps support me and helps support independent media as a whole. And while you're at it, you should probably like and subscribe. It really helps out independent media and Gen Z media. So, help me with that. But, and then he says, thank you for your attention to this matter, because whatever. And then here's a tweet that he published sometime after that. He says, Iran is having a very hard time figuring out who their leader is. They just don't know. He made it easy for them by, killing their leader earlier. But the infighting between the hardliners, which, again, in parentheses, who have been losing badly on the battlefield, and the moderates, again, in parentheses, who are not very moderate at all. I feel like that's something to do with us a little bit. But gaining respect, which is not like us, is crazy. We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, which I guess is why we're still dealing with the ships putting mines in. So I guess now in this society we can have total control of the Strait of Hormuz while we're still actively being attacked. So that's cool. No ship can enter or leave without approval. Again, he says not an hour earlier that they're currently being shot, all of them. It is sealed up tight, which I'm not sure he knows how to use parentheses, because I think that really goes against him, and also tight should not be capitalized there. But until such time as the Iran is ready to make a deal. Sorry, it does not say the Iran, our illiterate president. I can't make him sound more illiterate. That was just me. But so basically his method for negotiation, art of the deal, the Peace Prize president, the FIFA Peace Prize winning president strikes again. He should have a Nobel Peace Prize. I guess his main way of negotiating seems to be bombing every single ship. So I guess this is the great businessman that we needed in office. I'll remind you that it took months, if not years, for Obama, who spent that time, and he got a great nuclear deal. Obama got a great nuclear deal, and Trump is just like back and forth multiple times in a day. He'll just be like, yeah, we're winning. No, we're not winning. We're actually winning. We need help from our alliance partners. There we go. I'm sorry. Our allies. We need help from our allies. We don't need help from our allies. The allies won't give us help. We'll remember that they didn't give us help. We don't need the help, but we're going to remember that they didn't give it to us. This whole thing is just crazy to me that this is the art of the deal to him. And, yeah, I mean, I guess he's just the great businessman that we needed in office, In this tweet that Trump reposted, we can see it's by Mark Thessian or something. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't really care. So Mark Thessian says, if there are two factions in Iran, one that wants to make a deal and one that doesn't, then let's kill the ones who don't want to make a deal. Absolute cinema. Absolute peace, president. This guy should have the Nobel Peace Prize. So, I mean, I know it's not Trump saying that, but Trump is reposting it, so I think we can just say that's what he means. So it's kind of crazy to me that the real deal-making prowess comes from the ideology of let's kill them. So that's not how you make a deal, and Iran is so much more reasonable than Trump. Iran came out recently, and I'll have that on the screen either here or here. I'm not really sure which side it's going to be. But Iran came out and said that they're not going to negotiate with terrorists. And, I mean, that's a great way of summing this up. Trump is a terrorist. Trump is threatening to kill all of them if they don't make a deal with him. And if they make a deal with him, he's probably just going to back out and try to kill them anyway. I mean, we saw that during the ceasefire. Trump tried to access the nuclear codes on Saturday during the ceasefire still. I mean, I think we're forgetting that. But, we were still in a ceasefire, and Trump wanted to nuke them. So, I don't know what to tell you at this point. This is not the art of the deal. Now, the last thing I wanted to look at with you guys is this 3-minute video that Trump uploaded talking about the reflective pool with these papers that I guess somebody printed out for him because, boomer. Is he even a boomer? I think he's older than a boomer, right? I mean, he's basically a fossil. Enough. But the main reason I wanted to talk about this is because it kind of just shows his dementia. I know, #PresidentDementia. Put that in the comments. I'm trying to get that up there, But anyway, so I wanted to look at this clip. We're not going to watch the whole thing, or at least you're not. I'll just bring you to the best parts. So let's get right into it.
I thought I'd bring up a subject of interest. I do a lot of this as president and try and save money. And one was the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, which everybody knows. That's where Martin Luther King made his great speech and where others have likewise made great speeches and great events held.
I just want to add that he probably doesn't like Martin Luther King all too much. Wouldn't be surprising to me if he was internally grimacing at having to say that.
It's very famous. It was built in 1922, and it's more than 2,000 feet long.
Glad we have the president to tell us this. It's not on the Wikipedia.
It's 167 feet wide. It's very big. That's taller than any skyscraper, 2,000 feet. And here's a picture of it. You probably recognize it. Right now it's got no water in it because it was in terrible shape. It was filthy dirty, and it leaked like a sieve for many years. So I actually went with Secret Service and a group of people, and I took a look at it. One of the people with me was Doug Burgum, our great Secretary of the Interior. This comes under his purview, and he said, yes, we've had a lot of problems with it. It's not working. It hasn't worked for many years, and it's always filthy dirty. And I said, well, we're going to solve the problem. And they had bids to fix it. They were going to take the stone out, which was granite, very expensive, very thick, and replace it with stone. And it was going to cost $300 million. And it was going to take maybe more than 3 years. And I said, no, there's a better way of doing it. I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to call all 3 of these people that have worked for me in the past doing swimming pools. That's all they can do is a swimming pool. And I said, give me a good price. We can do it for maybe $1.5 million to $2 million as opposed to $300 million. We scrubbed the surface of the existing granite that's been there since 1922. We then grouted all of the granite, fixed it up, took about 2 weeks, and now we have a nice clean surface on which we're putting a industrial grade swimming pool topping. And they said, what color would you like, sir? It's called American flag blue. I said, that's the color I want. I want American flag blue. It'll last for 40 or 50 years. There'll be no leaks. There'll be no anything. It'll look gorgeous, beautiful. So it's a story in business. And here's the difference, because somebody said, well, sir, but wouldn't it be a better job? I said, no, this is a much better job for much less money. It will look far more beautiful than it did in 1922 when they built it, much more beautiful. So we build it in much less time for much less money. But I don't mean much less, I mean numbers that nobody can even believe. So it's $1.5 million versus 300. It's 2 weeks versus more than 3 years. And that's just the way it is. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
So glad he's focused on the important things as president. I mean, you know, we're at war right now. Have we forgotten this little detail? We're currently a nation at war, and we're putting a swimming pool in or something like that. I don't know. He was just talking. I think he was just like saying words to say words there. I mean, that was just crazy. I'm gonna speed it up for you guys because I was just looking at my screen like, holy, like, we are not the father. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about those things with you guys today. If you want to support independent media, the best way you can do that for me is to like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel quite a bit. And it really helps support independent media. And I had this idea to talk about this from Harry Sissien, so I'll have him linked in the comments for any of you that somehow don't know who he is.